Feeling any better?
Yeah, yeah. Obviously was able to go back and watch the film, take down some specific notes to work on this week, and I'm excited for another opportunity to go out there and try to lead a team to their first victory.
What do you see when you see the Packers on film? What do you see?
Some unique concepts within their dime and dollar packages where they're bringing a bunch of extra safeties in the game and disguising guys by having 50s numbers playing ends, and there's a lot, and you got to make sure that you understand personnel first and foremost, and then be able to then obviously take it to the next level and get the ball to the right guy.
DeShone, do you think that going to the hospital on Tuesday as much as you have this season, does that kind of put things in perspective for you so that when you come back here on Wednesday, you kind of have a different mindset?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that I take a big initiative myself. I'm getting into the community as much as I can, and my trips to university hospitals, Rainbow's Children and Babies Hospital, is one that allows me to take a step back and really put things in perspective. Obviously, we're going through some tough times here, in this facility, and that allows me to step away from it and make sure I understand what's important. I will continue to do whatever I can to have the same impact I have on the field, off the field.
Do you feel like, I know you think you've improved from week 1 to now, but do you think 4 games left in the season is enough time for you personally to make an even bigger jump?
Absolutely, absolutely. When you look at the grand scheme of things, and when you're evaluating the success of quarterbacks throughout the league, typically you're looking at years and years of reps out there, and for me, obviously, you're at 12 games, in which 9 of them I started and played majority of the game. Every opportunity I get to step out there is to show who I am and the direction I'm heading towards, so that I can potentially be here for a while playing this position at the starting spot.
No, Rodgers isn't out there, but was he one of your study subjects in recent years?
Absolutely. I believe he's one of the best passers to ever play. His ability to throw the ball and his mechanics and how he keeps his balance is one of the best. It would have been a really unique opportunity to stand on the sideline and watch it. But fortunately and unfortunately, we're going to have to go out there and attempt to beat his backup.
You threw the ball against the Chargers over 30 times, and Coleman, Lewis, and Higgins are on the field a lot and no catches. How do you explain that?
It's time and place, taking what the defense is giving you. The targets are there. You just got to make sure that you're completing them. I think there was a big emphasis towards the back end of the game of understanding matchups, and we felt that we had good matchups going with David and Josh on the outside. That's where we attacked. I think this week there's going to be a new set of circumstances where those guys are going to be targeted just as much and hope to complete those passes. I think that in order to win games, throwing the ball 30 times, you got to be at 65+% on completion. So it's going to be on us this week on doing whatever we can, on the practice field to get that chemistry to where we need it to be to get out there and have a good passing game.
Are you surprised that you've thrown as much as you have this year? Going into the season, you had talked about wanting to lean a lot on the run game and that, and you're throwing almost as much as Tom Brady is right now.
Yeah, for one, we're down in the second half, unfortunately. You got to throw to get out of those situations. You got to score fast back there. So a lot of those passes are going to be leaning towards the second half. And 2, I think that although our running game isn't where we want it to be, it has the respect of one of the better run games in this league. When you have the offensive line that we have and Duke Johnson and Isaiah Crowell in the backfield, people are still going to throw extra guys in the box, no matter how much we put on tape that we're a good running team. So once again, it's taking what the defense gives you, and it seems as if in the last probably 6-7 weeks, defenses want to play single high and put a guy in the box. It's time to throw the football.
Did you watch that film, just like you and Josh, by any chance? Did you guys sit down and watch the film together of how you connected or didn't connect on certain passes?
We have not yet. That's something that we do towards the later half of the week to make sure that we're correcting from last week and then moving forward with the game plan this week.
And you practiced 2 weeks with Gordon, and then is there anything that you learned in the game that you didn't know from practice about him?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we'll keep close to ourselves, but I think that it's going to be a continued learning process of him learning me and me learning him, from the ability to extend the play for me and him continuing to push later, where he wants the ball in certain things, certain routes that he prefers versus certain leverages. Those will be things that we'll continue to learn from, but we do have a good list of things that we've learned from this last week that we'll be able to continue to carry on to this week.
How much better do you think you guys can be in the last 4 games?
I think we can be very good. I think that we have continued to show that we're very close to once again getting over that hill. We talk about it each week. Once we get over it, we'll stay over it for a while, I believe. As an offense, we've been sporadic. My game has been sporadic from good to bad. There's been kind of a roller coaster feel to where our offense has been. I think this last 4 weeks, the fourth quarter of this season, is a good opportunity for us to show where we can be heading into the offseason to gain some confidence so that we can continue to build throughout the offseason and come back next year hopefully as one of the better teams.
When you look at Rodgers and then even Huntley, both those guys didn't play right away, like they said, for a long time.
Yep.
Do you ever, I mean, we're 12 weeks into this, do you ever think you would have been better off if you had gotten some time on the sideline?
Time is the answer to everything. I think that, the more experience you have, the more time you spend doing something, the better you're going to be at it. Unfortunately, that's just not the situation I was in. I was asked to come in as a rookie and start here, and we were able to, take that time and try to shrink it and try to make the timeline smaller, and been able to do so at a high rate, I believe. I think that I was able to grab this offense pretty fast, moving into some of the veteran options within the offense to, start using in the later half of the season, and it's going to be on me to continue to develop and accept the challenge that was given to me here and try to hold on to this position for as long as I can.
From a statistical standpoint, your completion percentage is around 50%.
Yeah.
When you watch week to week on film and you kind of pick apart and evaluate, your performance of your teammates, have you noticed, a common theme, or is there something over these last 4 weeks that you guys can kind of correct so you can elevate that over the last 4 games?
Yeah, one of the common themes is that we've been, mixing and matching every week. So to find some consistency now with a core group of really good receivers who are all playmakers, we'll be able to maximize that as much as we can this last 4 weeks. Chemistry's been everything, timing's been everything for us, and we continue to put a lot of time and effort into that in practice. And I think once again now having a core group of guys that we know are going to be out there playing the same position each week will allow us to now go out and practice and kind of understand how we mix and match within that, and hopefully we can have some success in the last 4 weeks passing.
Just as a follow to that, you haven't really, from the very beginning, have that set of guys every week. What kind of setback, if that's the right word, has that been?
It's just presents a challenge. This is the NFL. You got to expect that that's going to happen. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be, roster changes. There's going to be a bunch that happens. And as a quarterback, you got to be able to adapt to all of those. But I think that we're in a position now where we have a good core group. Where we know where guys are going to play, how they're going to play, the type of routes that they run, what they're good at, and that's going to be what's going to help us moving forward to have that chemistry to get this passing game to where we want it to be.
What's your goal for completion percentage? Where do you ideally do you want to be?
You got to be sitting above 65% in this league.
So that's a pretty significant jump.
It is, and that's what's going to take for us to get out there and win consistently. I think that as a quarterback, it's almost unacceptable to be at a 50% completion rating. There's too many guys who are talented out there. There's too much time and effort that we put into the week for us to not go out there and complete at least 60% of our passes.
What stands out when you watch Clay Matthews and Nick Perry?
They're veterans. They have multiple moves. They're not single-dimensional guys. They're going to be a handful for this offensive line to prepare for, but that's what we do. And I think that's one of our biggest advantages is having Joe Thomas, who's been able to watch these guys consistently and have notes on these guys. We got to be able to kind of predict what moves they're going to give us, because when you play in this league, as long as they do and they understand our techniques, we got to be able to understand their techniques just as well.
When you're trying to get the ball downfield to a guy like Josh, does that make it even more imperative, the timing? It's not like you guys are running, a lot of short routes and things like that. The way you're trying to push the ball down the field, and I think that also has probably a lot to do with your completion percentage, but specifically with Josh, is that an issue?
Yeah, it's something you got to attack each day. The go ball is a very big piece of the NFL. You got to be able to get chunk plays. You got to be able to take the top off of defenses. And in order to do so, you got to understand how the receiver's running the route, how his release was off the line that he's running on, and make sure you put that ball on that line. A lot of guys tend to put a point on the field where you want to put the ball for a receiver to go get it. I've quickly learned that you got to just find where that line is. And I think Josh, the more time I spend with Josh, the more I'll understand how he's going to release on guys and what line he's going to try to get back to, so I can put it on it and allow him to get up and make a play.
When you look back at the film,
with other things open on the offense, were there other opportunities you think created by him, the way you guys saw it?
There's always going to be other opportunities. Obviously, you can go back on the film and from a meeting room in here on a Tuesday, you can see a bunch of other opportunities to spread the ball around. But for the most part, I think that we did a good job with game planning against the Chargers. We were getting the ball into the right guy's hands. Eyes are in the right spot. But now it's about making sure that when you are in the right spot, that you are completing those passes, and when other things are maybe an easier option, you take those easier options. It's going to be on me now to once again take my game to the next step to get the ball out of my hand as fast as I can. I think it was a cool experience watching Philip Rivers go out there and get rid of the ball under 2 seconds every time he has it in his hand on average, and that's something that I would like to do so we can get this ball in the playmakers' hands and allow them to do things after the catch.
On a personal level, does this feel like crunch time to you from the standpoint you got 4 games to show them what you got?
Yeah, every week's been crunch time for me though. Obviously going through the experience that we went through after, being benched and bringing other guys in and trade acquisitions and all those things. It's on me to make sure that every time I step out there that I'm playing at the best of my ability, because you never know when your last rep is. You never know which rep is going to be the one that gets evaluated to determine whether or not you're going to be the guy stepping in there. So yeah, I'm going to walk into this week, do whatever I can to continue to prove the quarterback that I can become and the quarterback I will be long term. And obviously there's 4 opportunities in this season for us to go out and do that.
You mentioned Rivers, and understandably, he and Eli Manning have been in the league together a long time. So how much of it do you think is experience at this point?
When you're playing in a similar system your whole career, it gives you an advantage. That's the nature of the situation. I think that it's going to be awesome for me to go back and now evaluate everything we've been able to do this year and learn as much as I can. But until then, it's about doing whatever we can now to shrink that into a 1-week process so we can go out there and attack that properly so we can go out there and hopefully pick up a couple of wins in this last quarter of the season.
Did you have to, or will you, have a conversation with Corey Coleman to make sure that he knows that just because Josh is back, you're not going to forget about him, you're still going to get him the ball?
It's not one of those situations at all. It's about understanding that football's football. There's 4 to 5 receivers on the field, 3, 4, 5 receivers on the field every time you step out there, and all of them have a job and a duty, and it's on me to make sure that I'm getting the ball to the right guy. And Corey understands that. Our relationship off the field allows us to have that open communication. He's going to let me know when he thinks there's opportunities for him to have the ball, and I got to be able to evaluate those, take them for what they are, and make sure that the ball is once again in the right spot at the right time.
JC obviously came from the Packers. Is he helpful this week, and what have you learned playing behind him for this one?
Very. JC is a huge asset to me as a rookie quarterback. His experience and his understanding of defenses, both 3 down and 4 down, allow him to do a bunch with protections and to communicate with me properly. Him understanding the scheme of the Green Bay defense is going to allow us to have a little bit of an advantage going in and allow me to take a little bit off my plate because he gets how things are going to work and he can make some corrections on his own, and we're just going to keep the communication lines open because that's the best thing you can have in the protection world is a good relationship with your center, and I think that we've been able to develop a great one that allows us to communicate at a high level quickly so we can make the right adjustments and go play ball.